is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, President Vladimir Putin has accused Ukraine's leadership of adding a new page to its crime history. The fierce condemnation follows high-level discussion in Moscow regarding a deadly Ukrainian drone strike on a college dormitory in Starobilsk. The European Commission is pushing back against intense demands from President Volodymyr Zelensky for the immediate release of 90 billion euros. Brussels insists that Kiev has still not met the technical requirements compliant with the first tranche of the loan. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has categorized Cuba as a veritable failed state and a direct security threat. Rubio charged that the Caribbean island is operating as a hostile intelligence station just 90 miles from American shores. Bangladeshi Foreign Minister Khalilur Rahman has been elected president of the 81st session of the United Nations General Assembly. Rahman secured a prestigious one-year leadership post on Tuesday in a closely contested ballot vote. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has unveiled a toughened national enforcement strategy to severely curb illegal immigration. Ramaphosa warned that the unregulated flow of migrants is crippling the nation's public services and infrastructure. And back home, President Marcos Jr. has reprimanded the Senate leadership over successive session cancellations ahead of their adjournment Sunday. The president warned that the legislature is in disarray, leaving bills crucial to the public stranded without action. I'm Val Divinagracia. News and World starts now. Russian President Vladimir Putin says Ukraine's leadership has turned a new page in its long history of crimes. The fierce statement comes during high-level discussions in Moscow regarding a deadly drone strike on a college dormitory in Starobilsk. Prince Tripoli reports.
A major criminal investigation is unfolding in Moscow following a devastating attack on an educational facility. Last month, 21 people were killed and dozens more wounded during a massive drone attack on an academic building and dormitory in Starobilsk College in Lugansk region. President Putin blasted a strike, calling it a deliberate attack targeting civilian youth.
Похоже, что сознательно, именно сознательно совершая тяжелейшие преступления против детей, подростков в педагогическом колледже в Старобельске и вот сейчас в Геничинске, киевская верхушка решила открыть новую страницу в череде своих преступлений, придать новое качество конфликту в целом. Ну что ж, это их выбор.
Local authorities in the region maintained the strike was explicitly planned to maximize casualties. Regional head Leonid Pasechnik provided detailed updates on the physical strike, claiming there is a clear evidence the educational institution was targeted directly. Russian federal law enforcement agencies are pushing forward with a sweeping criminal case. Prosecutor General Alexander Gutsan stated that investigators are working non-stop to track down everyone involved in the mass killing. The forensic details of the attack are now coming to light. Investigative Committee Chairperson Alexander Bastrykin reported that recovery teams extracted components manufactured in NATO countries from the drone wreckage. He identified several Ukrainian-made drone models used in strike against Russian territory, including the Yi, Bober, Chaklun, Chaika, Spice, Bars, and Flamingo. He also documented foreign-made drones, including the Lord model from Switzerland and the Cardboard model from Australia. Bastrykin stated that the drones were launched from the Kharkiv region by servicemen of Ukraine's 414 separate brigade known as Magyar's Birds under the command of Klimenko. The brigade cooperates under Ukraine's Unmanned System Forces, commanded by Brug D, with targeted acquisition handled by the main intelligence directorate headed by Ivaschenko. All three officials have been charged as defendants, placed on an international wanted list, and remanded in custody in absentia. Following the dormitory strike, Putin ordered the defense ministry to carry out retaliatory measures. On May 24th, Moscow launched a massive strike using Oreshny, Iskander, Kinzhal, and Zircon missiles against military infrastructure in Kiev. Ukraine's general staff previously claimed the true target is Starobelsk was the Rubicon headquarters, which they allege is a center for advanced unmanned technologies. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tribui. SMN News.
Amid intense calls from President Volodymyr Zelensky for the immediate release of 90 billion euros, the European Commission is pushing back, insisting that Ukraine has still not met the technical requirements for the first tranche of the loan. Viril Parba has the news.
The multi-billion euro lifeline for Kiev remains temporarily stalled on procedural grounds. European Commission spokesperson Markus Lammert revealed during a press briefing that Ukraine has yet to fulfill all the conditions needed for the first payout.
There are still some technical and procedural steps to be completed on the Ukrainian side, and for us, what remains to be done is to verify if the conditions linked to the first disbursement under the macro-financial assistance program for Ukraine are met or not met.
The financial program originally achieved a major diplomatic breakthrough in late April. At the time, Slovakia and Hungary finally eased their fierce opposition to key EU measures supporting Ukraine. Previously, outgoing Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán had blocked a massive loan package following a diplomatic row over the Druzhba pipeline. The European Commission also shifted its focus to the escalating conflict in the Middle East. The European Union issued a direct call to Israel, demanding an end to its current military operations inside Lebanon.
We call on Israel to stop its military escalation in Lebanon and to respect Lebanon's sovereignty and territorial integrity. We further encourage continued engagement with ongoing diplomatic efforts.
The statement comes directly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered increased strikes on what he termed Hezbollah terror targets across southern Lebanon and Beirut's Deheyi neighborhood.
The people of Lebanon have already endured immense hardship. They didn't choose this war, and this war is not theirs. The people of Lebanon and Israel have the right to live in peace, security, and dignity, free from the threat of renewed conflict.
The EU promised to stand in solidarity with the Lebanese people, pledging continued support and direct aid to help local authorities address the worsening structural crisis. The diplomatic plea comes as Israel forces continue to advance deeper into Lebanon's territory. This has been Viril Parba, your global citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio categorized Cuba as a veritable failed state and a direct security threat operating as a hostile intelligence station just 90 miles from American shores. Jane Cognita has the details.
The geopolitical positioning of Havana is facing renewed scrutiny from Washington's top diplomats. Testifying before lawmakers on Capitol Hill, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared that the socialist island nation has practically devolved into a failed state. Rubio argued that the Cuban economy is now completely detached from public treasury operations. He pointed out that a private military-controlled conglomerate now commands roughly 70% of the country's gross domestic product. The secretary claims this group is sitting on $18 billion in hidden assets, while municipal power grids collapse from chronic state mismanagement.
Two things about Cuba. Number one is it's a failed state. I mean, it really is. I mean, the model that they have economic will never work. And it will never work because the country's no longer even controlled by the government there. I mean, the people are under the control of the government, but the country's under the control of a private, I say private, a military-controlled conglomerate that controls about 70% of the GDP of the country, none sitting on $18 billion in assets, None of that money transfers over to the Treasury or to be helpful to the Cuban people in any way.
The State Department emphasized that the structural crisis inside Havana intensified sharply after Venezuela cut off historic shipments of free crude oil earlier this year. Rubio warned that the resulting economic vacuum has transformed the island into an active theater for hostile foreign adversaries. According to documented U.S. intelligence briefings, Chinese and Russian operatives are actively leveraging the island's proximity to direct sophisticated electronic collection and counter-espionage facilities aimed directly at the southeastern United States.
They are also a base of operation. The Chinese, the Russians operate intelligence collection facilities targeted at the southeastern United States from the island of Cuba. That's well documented. They are a country that has long links to all of these many of these transnational ideologically motivated groups in the Western Hemisphere. If you travel extensively in the Western Hemisphere, you will find that behind every disruptive element in their society designed to, for example, overthrow or pressure a pro-American government, there is a Cuban element involved, in fact, many of these countries have expelled either the ambassador and or multiple personnel from the Cuban embassies because of their intelligence and counter and subversive activities inside of their country. And then they have a long history of supporting actual violent groups throughout the region. So all of these things pose a threat to the United States because a failed state that's friendly to our adversaries 90 miles from our shores, that's a threat.
Washington maintains an open diplomatic offer to deliver $100 million in direct humanitarian aid to the Cuban public. The funds would be sent through independent non-governmental agencies. However, state administrators in Havana have frozen logistics stocks, completely stalling the proposed distribution network. This has been Jane Coditer, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
The fragile Gulf ceasefire faces a critical test after the U.S. military reportedly thwarted a series of Iranian missile and drone attacks aimed at regional bases and maritime shipping coalitions. Carlo de la Peña reports.
A dangerous exchange of fire has erupted along the primary energy corridors of the Gulf. U.S. Central Command released operational footage showing naval units firing at an oil tanker, allegedly charting a course for an Iranian port. Iranian state media confirmed the strike severely crippled the vessel's engine infrastructure near the Strait of Hormuz. In a swift retaliation, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps fired missiles at the cargo ship labeled Panaya, while declaring all-out asymmetric warfare along the critical global shipping lanes.
لحظاتی قبل روابط عمومی سپاه پاسداران انقلاب اسلامی در اطلاعیه اعلام کرد در اواخر شب گذشته ارتش متجاوز امریکا یک نفتکش ایرانی را در حوالی تنگه هرمز مورد اصابت پرتابه هوایی قرار داد که این نفتکش از محل موتورخانه دچار خسارت گردید. در پاسخ به این تجاوز و نقض مقررات تنگه هرمز، شناور متعلق به دشمن آمریکایی صهیونی به نام پانایا مورد هدف موشک‌های نیروی دریایی سپاه پاسداران انقلاب اسلامی.
The conflict expanded rapidly as the IRGC claimed it launched drone swarms and ballistic missiles directly at a U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain and an adjacent helicopter airbase. But U.S. Central Command strongly refuted the Iranian claims, labeling them entirely false. Pentagon officials confirmed that all incoming projectiles aimed at Bahrain and Kuwait were successfully intercepted by integrated air defense networks or broke apart in mid-flight, leaving all American assets and personnel completely unharmed. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
A new leader has been elected president of the 81st session of the United Nations General Assembly. In a close vote on Tuesday, Bangladeshi Foreign Minister Khalilur Rahman secured the prestigious one-year leadership post. Joy Tabanao has the story.
With 190 UN member states present in voting, Bangladeshi Foreign Minister Khalilur Rahman received 99 votes. Rahman was just sworn in as the Bangladeshi Foreign Minister back in February 2026. He will officially take office when the 81st UN General Assembly session convenes this coming September. In his acceptance speech, Raman noted that the United Nations is currently being tested on multiple fronts.
As your president, I will dedicate myself to rebuilding trust, nurturing consensus, and opening space for good faith negotiations that will lead to outcomes for all that are owned by all.
To tackle these global issues, Raman promised to focus his administration on 6 key pillars of action. His agenda will target peace and security, the 2030 Agenda, climate change, human rights, UN reform, and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence. Raman stated that as president, he will dedicate himself to rebuilding trust, nurturing consensus, and opening up space for good faith negotiations. This has been Joy Dimanao, your global citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Up next, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has unveiled a toughened national enforcement strategy to severely curb illegal immigration. Ramaphosa warned that the unregulated flow of migrants is crippling the nation's public services and infrastructure. And President Marcos Jr. has reprimanded the Senate leadership over successive session cancellations ahead of their adjournment sine die. The president warned that the legislature is in disarray, leaving bills crucial to the public stranded without action. News and World will be back after the break.
Matunog ngayon ang salitang impeachment sa Pilipinas dahil sa impeachment trial kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero ang tanong ng taong bayan, ito ba ay para sa interes ng bansa o para sa politikal na motibo lamang? Sa ilalim ng saligang batas, may mga opisyal ng pamahalaan na maaaring tanggalin sa pwesto sa pamamagitan ng impeachment. Kabilang dito ang Pangulo, Pangalawang Pangulo, mga mahistrado ng Korte Suprema, mga miyembro ng Constitutional Commission at ang Ombudsman. Maaaring ma-impeach ang mga nabanggit na opisyal dahil sa matinding paglabag sa konstitusyon, pagtataksil sa bayan, panunuhol, katiwalian, mabibigat na krimen o pagtataksil sa tiwala ng publiko. Sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ilang matataas na opisyal na ang humarap sa impeachment trial. Noong taong 2000, si Pangulong Joseph Erap Estrada ang unang Pangulo ng bansa na humarap sa isang impeachment trial. Taong 2011 naman, si Ombudsman Mercedes Gutierrez ay naharap din sa impeachment dahil sa umano'y kapabayaan sa pag-aksyon sa mga kaso ng katiwalian. Hindi na siya humarap sa pagdinig sapagkat bago pa magsimula ang impeachment trial ay nagbitiw na ito sa pwesto. Noong 2012, si Chief Justice Renato Corona ay napatalsik naman mula sa Korte Suprema sa unang pagkakataon na impeach ang isang Chief Justice matapos mapatunayang hindi niya idineklara ang kanyang Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth o SALN ng buo. Ano nga ba ang proseso ng pag-impeach sa isang mataas na opisyal batay sa konstitusyon? Maaaring magsampa ng reklamo ang isang miyembro ng Kongreso o isang mamamayan basta may sumusuportang kongresista. Kapag 1/3 ng mga miyembro ng Kamara ang sumang-ayon, tuloy na agad ang proseso ng impeachment sa Senado. Sa sandaling maaprubahan ito ng House of Representatives, binubuo na ang Articles of Impeachment, isang dokumento na naglalaman ng mga aligasyon o batayan para sa impeachment. Pero tandaan, walang impeachment proceedings na maaaring isampa laban sa parehong opisyal ng higit sa isang beses sa loob ng isang taon. Ang Senado naman ang magsisilbing impeachment court kapag ang Pangulo ang nililitis, ang punong mahistrado ang namumuno, ngunit hindi bumoboto. 2/3 ng mga senador ang kailangan para hatulan ang opisyal. Anong parusa? Pagkakatanggal sa pwesto at diskwalipikasyon na makabalik sa gobyerno. Ang impeachment ay hindi simpleng usapin sa politika. Isa itong seryosong proseso na maaaring makaapekto sa kinabukasan ng bansa. Kaya sa panahong puno ng ingay at intriga, kinakailangan nating maging mapanuri, patas at maging makabayan. Bantayan natin ang katotohanan, pumanig tayo sa hustisya at higit sa lahat, unahin natin ang interes ng sambayanang Pilipino.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa unveiled the toughened national enforcement strategy to curb illegal immigration, severely warning that the unregulated flow of migrants is crippling the nation's public services. Jane Cognita is back for more news.
The South African government is fundamentally overhauling its domestic border security apparatus. Delivering a high-stakes national address before Parliament, President Cyril Ramaphosa declared that while legal regulated migration acts as an economic driver, illegal entry has severely undermined local employment markets. He notes the issue has also placed severe structural stress on state services. To reverse the trend, Pretoria is launching coordinated sweeps on commercial centers. The government will deploy specialized labor inspectors to identify, fine, and prosecute business owners who violate employment and visa verification laws.
We need to deal with illegal migration. We have seen how illegal immigration into our country can put pressure on our public services and undermine our efforts to create decent work for all. As announced in the State of the Nation address, government is taking decisive action to address this challenge. We are cracking down on violations of immigration laws. We are increasing our inspections of workplaces and prosecuting employers who violate our labor laws.
Data from Statistics South Africa indicates that foreign-born residents constitute roughly 3 to 5% of the domestic population, originating primarily from neighboring Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Lesotho. Acknowledging rising regional friction, Ramaphosa cautioned against a resurgence of domestic vigilantism and online disinformation campaigns. Ramaphosa stressed that structural border enforcement operations must strictly adhere to constitutional rights, emphasizing that corruption inside internal immigration systems will be systematically routed out without inciting ethnic mobilization.
We must never give in to violence, to xenophobia, and to vigilantism. As a society, we must stand against all forms of disinformation, of incitement, of false information being spread around, of racism and ethnic mobilization. We will continue to strengthen and enforce our laws while upholding the Constitution of the Republic and also respecting the human dignity of all. This will enable us to deal with illegal immigration without turning against one another.
Meanwhile, border enforcement teams are moving to reinforce vulnerable transit sectors along the northern corridors. Local labor unions maintain that strict legislative adjustments remain crucial to protecting domestic working class communities from unlawful corporate exploitation. This has been Jane Cognita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Mexican authorities have arrested a prominent regional leader linked to one of the most violent factions of the Sinaloa cartel. Gabriel N., known as El Gabito, was captured following a heavily coordinated military and state operation. Virgil Parva tells us more.
A major blow to organized crime operations unfolded Monday night in El Rosario, Sinaloa. Security forces successfully detained Gabriel N., also known by his aliases El Gabito or LAT. Official records identify him as a key regional leader for Los Chapitos, a powerful faction within the Sinaloa cartel. Images released by authorities show the high-profile detainee strictly in the custody of army elements and state agents. Gabriel N. was reportedly taken into custody on June 1st at exactly 8:15 p.m. He was immediately placed at the disposal of the Federal Attorney General's office, which will determine his legal status. The detainee is now facing heavy scrutiny from federal investigators. He is being actively actively investigated for serious crimes including kidnapping, extortion, homicide, and drug-related offenses against public health. Crucially, authorities linked him directly to a brutal massacre that took place in January of this year. He's accused of involvement in the murder of 10 minors in the municipality of La Concordia. This high-stakes arrest comes amid a backdrop of persistent, bloody violence tearing through the state of Sinaloa. Since 24, rival factions have been locked in a fierce dispute for control of the Sinaloa cartel. The internal war erupted after a high-profile capture of the group's co-founder Ismael El Mayo Zambada in the United States. This has been Rahil Parba, your Global Citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has warned and reprimanded the Senate leadership over successive session cancellations ahead of their scheduled adjournment sine die. According to the president, the legislature has been thrown into disarray while many pending bills crucial to the public await action. Hannah Jane Sancho reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. questioned the leadership and management of the Senate after its sessions were canceled without sufficient or compelling reasons. The president, a former lawmaker himself, reminded the upper house that the Constitution explicitly dictates informing the other chamber 3 days prior to canceling a session, a rule that was seemingly ignored.
Get back to work because it's important. Dami natin kailangan gawin. It is a rule that is contained in the Constitution. And so, I'm afraid, whatever, all these events that we have been witnessing has thrown the Senate and its leadership the whole Senate into disarray.
Because of this impasse, the government's line of solutions for the public are directly affected. The government, through the Uplift Committee, is currently drafting amendments to the law and a possible supplemental budget to deliver aid against the severe oil crisis in the country. But with sessions halted, the necessary funds and legislation remain stalled. The president stressed that it is a very sad situation for assistance to sit idle due to the lack of backing legislation.
It's a very, very sad situation. We will have to watch. The country is in need of assistance. People are in need of assistance. How can we provide that assistance without a proper legislation to back it up?
For now, Malacanang is studying all legal and constitutional options to remedy the crisis in the Senate. However, Marcos admitted that as a co-equal branch of government, he cannot order or punish the lawmakers since the chamber relies entirely on its own self-regulation.
We are looking at the law, we're looking at the Constitution, and to see how we can remedy the situation. But it requires the cooperation and the commitment of the Senate leadership to continue with their work.
The president added that in his entire political life, he never expected the Senate, once regarded as an august institution, to reach this low point. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SM9 News.
A top diplomat personally visited a shanty area in Manila together with a non-government organization to provide assistance to children. MJ Mundihar has the details.
This scene is common in many squatter communities across Metro Manila. These are areas where houses are packed closely together, pathways are narrow, and signs of poverty are evident. But SM9 News caught up with Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Jing Tian, in this part of San Andres Bukid in Manila. The ambassador, together with members of Bantu Philippines, a local non-government organization or NGO, visited young beneficiaries who would receive assistance. According to residents, he is the first top diplomat to personally visit and walk around their community without any formality or hesitation.
Sabi ko nga po sa mga bata kanina na napakalaking karangalan po na inisip po ng kumakatawan sa pamahalaan ng People's Republic of China na pumunta pa dito sa amin, makausap sila, makausap ang mga magulang nila.
According to Ambassador Tian, he deliberately visits different parts of the Philippines to demonstrate China's goodwill toward the country.
You know, as ambassador, I cannot just stay inside the embassy or stay in Manila. I would want to visit some other provinces or meet with the local community, meet with the ordinary local people, and to get to know what they're thinking, and we want to offer our help.
The youth beneficiaries of Bantu Philippines also stage a cultural presentation. These are young people being taught good manners, sports, martial arts, and Filipino values to keep them away from vices and illegal drugs.
Nag-turnover po yung Embassy ng People's Republic of China ng mga goods para sa mga bata. So it was a mix of goods including mga food, mga sports equipment, mga uniforms. So lahat ng mga suot po ng mga bata ngayon ay donated din po nila.
Chinese tradition, Chinese culture is to share, is to help. So China, Philippines, we're neighbors. We should always respect each other and help each other.
Sama ko ngayon si John Lee at si John Cyrus. Bakit kayo masaya? Bakit? Ha?
Ambassador Tian also emphasized that the Philippines and China are friends. He said the issue of disputed territories in the South China Sea is only one factor or aspect of the bilateral relations between Manila and Beijing. He added that his visits to different parts of the country demonstrate that disagreements can be resolved through proper dialogue between friendly nations.
People to people exchange, that's the foundation of our bilateral relations. When people meet each other, when people travel to the other country, then they understand the ground situation, then that kind of misunderstanding may eventually disappear. So that's the value of people to people. It's good for the overall, atmosphere or climate of our political relations.
For God Mabulog Philippines, I'm Jem Ondihar, SMNI News.
The Jose Maria College Foundation Incorporated's College of Law's Debate and Mood Society is this year's champion in the Mindanao Inter-Law School Debate, besting 7 other law schools in the region. The Magnus Conventus is an annual regional convention organized by the Association of Law Students of the Philippines. Rafael Imiola has the news.
14 law schools from Mindanao gathered in Davao City for the annual Mindanao Inter-Law School Tournament organized by the Association of Law Students of the Philippines, including the Jose Maria College Foundation Incorporated, College of Law, Ateneo de Davao University, University of Mindanao, University of Southeastern Philippines, Rizal Memorial Colleges, St. Thomas More School of Law and Business, St. Mary's College of Tagum, Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan, Josefina H. Ceriles State College of Pagadian City, Pagadian Capital College, Notre Dame University in Cotabato, Cotabato State University, Bukidnon State University, and Mindanao State University respectively. And out of all the participating law schools in this year's Inter-Law Tournament, the Jose Maria College Foundation Incorporated College of Law reap numerous awards in various academic and non-academic activities. JMCFI College of Law hailed as champions at the Magnus Conventus Badminton Cup 2026. Maranang and Ken Palaka emerged as the mixed doubles champions, while Joanna Alilin and Beverly Montibon claimed the women's doubles championship title. JMCFI College of Law also won the championship title in this year's bowling tournament. It also won in other events. Aside from this, the JMCFI College of Law Debate and Mood Society also secured the championship title in the Association of Law Students of the Philippines Mindanao Debate Competition, besting 7 other law schools across Mindanao, including Ateneo de Davao University, Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan, University of Mindanao, Josefina H. Ceriles State College of Pagadian City, Notre Dame University in Cotabato City, Rizal Memorial Colleges, and St. Thomas More respectively. In its first ever competition as a newly formed team, the JMCFI College of Law Debate and Mood Society defied expectations by clinching the championship title at the Magnus Conventus Regional Debate Competition 2026.
Although a young school, we already made a good mark to the Mindanao arena. We gained so much momentum and morale in the competition, and we also learned to think quickly and also to respond really well to a lot of debate questions. I think this is reflective to our everyday recitations.
Going to the competition, we already expected it to be challenging, especially because we were competing against many brilliant law students across Mindanao. But despite that, one thing we were able to secure was our team chemistry. We made sure that our perspectives, our goals, and our mindset were aligned from the very beginning.
Reina Kobayashi was recognized as the best speaker during the elimination rounds, while Christopher Tipon was named the third best speaker during the elimination rounds. Meanwhile, April Armilia was awarded overall best speaker and best interpolator during the final rounds. The team was also supported by its dedicated team captain, Stephen Luna, and its researchers, Charissa Alviso, Marian Ambrosio, Casey Nardo, Alea Alilin, Sanya Thea Junco, Rima Sabatin, Mika Elaine Bilbao, Tanya Castellones, Ginny Legaspi, Hannah Marie de la Vega, and Jordan Amadora. Moreover, the JMCFI Debate and Moot Society are now preparing for the Philippine Institute of Construction Arbitrators and Mediators Moot Court competition at the University of the Philippines, BGC, on July 6. In other moot court competitions.
Looking in the future, I think it's safe to say that we are ready to join more competitions. In fact, we will be joining one soon, sometime in July for PCAM. I know for sure we will be carrying the same team dynamics that we have already explored in this competition. I'm confident that we will be joining more competitions because the school is very supportive. The JMCFI has been very supportive to the DMS, the Debate and Moot Court Society, our club in Jose Maria College for debating and moot courting.
The team also thanked Dean Attorney Israelito Torion and Assistant Dean Attorney Resi Angeli Rizada Nolasco and the whole JMCFI community for supporting them, and has expressed their gratitude to Reverend Dr. Pastor Apollo C. Kiboloy, the founding president of Jose Maria College Foundation Incorporated, for his unwavering support to their endeavors and for continuously encouraging them to pursue excellence in every field they choose to undertake, as they have been empowered to excel not only in academics, but also in competitions, extracurricular activities, and future professional pursuits.
I think the vision of our founding president, Reverend Dr. Pastor Apollo C. Kiboloy, really came into fruition when JMC already paved its way in the international stage with a recent delegation representing JMC in the Philippines in the Prize and Moot Court competition in England last year. We thank the president for instilling the seed of culture and excellence in the school. Thank him for our unwavering support. This competition is just really the continuation of the legacy he brought in this institution, and we hope also that the school would be able to continue its legacy of excellence. Thank you so much, Pastor.
To our founding president, Star Apollo C. Kiboloy, thank you for your vision in building JMCFI Law. We are beyond grateful for your dream of producing excellent lawyers from Mindanao, lawyers who are not just competent, but also grounded in faith, purpose, and service. As students of JMCFI Law, we will continue to strive harder to carry the name of the institution with pride and do our best to materialize your vision. We hope to become excellent lawyers from Mindanao who will serve the people, hold justice, and make JMCFI community proud.
Pastor Kiboloy, I would like to extend my thank you for having the vision of opening a law school within the JMCFI community. So he is a visionary for that, I would say, because he was able to design a law school that gave room to some flexibility in order to cater to people like me, people who are working. On a more personal note, I would want to say that he kept his faith strong and himself strong because behind him is a very strong community. Although I am not part of the religious sect of KOJC, but I am able to look at the community from within as an outsider, and I have seen how the people are so community driven other than being spiritually driven, and they have kept their faith strong, and they're very humble, wonderful people that has also supported the law school. And I'm happy to have been a witness to this, and I wish the best of luck to Pastor and the KOJC community.
Reporting for Newsline World, Rafael Anyola, SMNI News.
The historic pavement of Route 66 Capitol Cruise came alive for a monumental parade that will bring you back to the old times as the city of Tulsa officially captured the Guinness World Record for the largest classic car parade ever assembled. Stella Maurice tells us more.
Tulsa, Oklahoma officially surpassed the previous world record on Saturday as 3,596 vintage and classic vehicles successfully navigated a 5.5-mile stretch of the Mother Road for the Route 66 Capitol Cruise. The record-breaking convoy kicked off at 8 a.m. local time from the intersection of 11th Street and South Yale Avenue, with vehicles rolling past the official Guinness adjudication stage. To strictly satisfy the rigorous standards set by Guinness World Records, every participating automobile was required to be an insured, roadworthy model manufactured in 1996 or earlier. Furthermore, drivers had to maintain a continuous, strict moving gap of no more than 2 car lengths across the entire route. The rolling timeline of automotive history featured vehicles spanning over 8 decades. A pristine 1913 Ford Model T led the procession as the oldest vehicle to successfully finish the cruise, alongside iconic pop culture replicas such as a 1966 Batmobile and a Back to the Future DeLorean. Grand marshals leading the event included Tulsa Mayor Monroe Nichols, who congratulated the city on its historic milestone. The event marked the 100th anniversary of Route 66, serving as a perfect time to celebrate. Ultimately, the parade bested the previous world record by 1,105 cars. This has been Stella Maurice, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Paramount Skydance has formally asked the European Union to approve its massive $110 billion takeover of Warner Brothers. Meanwhile, Oscar-winning director Martin Scorsese is joining the artificial intelligence wave. The legendary filmmaker has officially signed on as an advisor to the AI startup Black Forest Labs. Faith Agustin for the details.
The corporate landscape of the global entertainment industry could be on the verge of a massive shift. Reports citing European Commission filing on Tuesday show that Paramount Skydance Corporation has officially sought EU antitrust approval for its acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery. The European Commission, acting as a 27-nation bloc's merger watchdog, has set an initial deadline of July 7 to rule on the deal. If approved, the merger would unite 2 legendary Hollywood studios behind some of the most enduring franchises in cinema history, from Casablanca and Harry Potter to Mission Impossible. The mega deal would also bring together major global news networks, combining CNN and CBS under a single corporate umbrella. The transaction would further unite the streaming powerhouse HBO alongside dozens of popular cable networks. The proposed $110 billion takeover has drawn sharp criticism from industry insiders. Critics, including several Hollywood stars, have warned that the massive consolidation could directly endanger film and television jobs across the industry. The European Commission must now decide by July 7th whether to clear the deal with or without specific remedies. The regulatory body could also choose to open a full-scale investigation if it harbors serious competition concerns. Meanwhile, think AI is just for tech geeks? Think again, because one of Hollywood's cinema legends is officially giving it the ultimate stamp of approval. American filmmaker Martin Scorsese has signed on as an advisor to Black Forest Labs, looking to push the absolute bounds of creativity and deliver deeper, richer experiences for moviegoers everywhere. In a statement on the company's website, Scorsese pointed out that cinema is a young medium, only about 125 years old, and argued that the industry must stay open to evolution. Talk about a total game changer behind the scenes? The filmmaker is framing the move as a natural next step in his career, noting his past use of 3D technology in Hugo and digital de-aging in The Irishman. A video filmed at Scorsese's New York City office alongside the announcement showcases the director actively working with the firm's Flux generative AI model. During the session, the director even breaks down the complex staging behind his most famous Goodfellas masterpiece, the iconic Steadicam tracking shot following mobster Henry Hill through the Copacabana nightclub. Scorsese notes that every single vignette in that legendary sequence had to be intricately put together, and he believes this new digital tool will let his creative crew build on his vision faster than ever before. He is reminding the world that great art never stands still. This has been Faith Agustin, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest show buzz.
And for sports news, Filipina tennis star Alexandra Ayala kicked off her 2026 grass court campaign in emphatic fashion, overpowering Australia's Priscilla Hon in a score of 6-0, 6-2 in the opening round of the Birmingham Open. Meanwhile, Argentina captain Lionel Messi is set to make a record 6th FIFA World Cup appearance in 2026 as he aims to help the defending champions retain their crown and further cement his legacy on football's biggest stage. Carlo de la Peña reports.
Looking to bounce back from an early French Open exit, Alex Ayala wasted little time asserting her dominance on the grass courts of Birmingham. The top seed raced through the opening set in just 22 minutes, blanking Hon before carrying the momentum into the second set. The convincing victory marked Ayala's first win of the 2026 grass season and provided a strong response after a narrow doubles defeat alongside Czech partner Nikola Bartenkova on Monday. Fresh from her first round loss at Roland Garros, the 21-year-old showcased her versatility by quickly adapting from clay to grass, signaling a promising start to her preparations for the upcoming grass court swing. Meanwhile, after leading Argentina to the 2022 FIFA World Cup title in Qatar, Lionel Messi enters the 2026 tournament as the most experienced player in World Cup history, holding records for most matches played and most minutes logged. He will share the milestone of 6 World Cup appearances with longtime rival Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi is also Argentina's all-time leading World Cup scorer with 13 goals, placing him 4th on the tournament's all-time scoring list. His 21 total goal contributions are tied with football legend Pelé, while he remains the only player to score in every stage of the competition, from the group phase to the final. After finally lifting the trophy at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, Messi now hopes to guide Argentina to back-to-back world titles, a feat achieved by only 2 nations in tournament history. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the appointed star. Start strong, finish strong. Quitting is not an option. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Val Divina Gracia. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.